on a percentage on this phone actually to teach you this lesson about the blueprint of Angkor Wat. I'm streaming as much as possible because, like I say, if you're trying to succeed with this YouTube thing, you can't be a lazy or a slouch. All right. So here I am to teach you all something about the blueprint of Angkor Wat and something very important I saw on TikTok. Now, like I was saying, on TikTok, I don't have to worry about, playing a video and on YouTube, them giving me a copyright strike. So here I am actually utilizing this video by Mr. Mountain Beat, whatever his name is of this video. And let me show you something here, very important. Mr. Mountain Beast. Why does it look like a circuit board? Here, as you can see, you have a cylinder that they're showing is in Angkor Wat, beneath the ground. What they did here is pretty much chop it up in halves. So you have half of Angkor Wat, and you have, and to everybody that watches this, my Discovery 4.5 is the blueprint for Angkor Wat. That's what I'm showing this video for. So when you look at Angkor Wat and you zoom in on Angkor Wat, you will realize that it shares the geometry of the Chakana. But there's an underground aspect going on there, and they're questioning whether this was actually a circuit board or not, of some sort. Something that could have created energy at that point. Something like that. So, with this right here, as you can see, that Chakana aspect that I was just speaking of is found right there at the corners. At the base, at the foundation. Come on, buddy. At the base, at the foundation, and at the towers that you see. I keep on forgetting that that's not the camera, that is. But yes, at the towers that you see, and in the center of it as well, you can see that it's right there. Now, when you pay attention to the blueprint right here, you can see that they drew out down here the two-dimensional aspect of it. And that's literally what my discovery is, the two-dimensional drawing of Angkor Wat. So if you took Angkor Wat in this centralized aspect, that's where you see this right here. Right there. At the center. Understandable? And the whole purpose of this actually, as I mentioned, this blueprint is actually to show you with what I'm doing. Here you go. The actual blueprint being built. So you can see my scratch work here. All right. This is my work as a self-taught architect. This right here, handwriting that you see here, comes from while that spirit was bothering me. That's not my handwriting. I was trying to write and that fucker kept on bothering me. Excuse my language, but over here is where you see me actually doing the metrics of what it actually has to look like. So this is what the pyramid to be built here on this land, the starting sketches, it will look like. As you can see, it doesn't look like any other pyramid or temple that you've ever seen. Very important to realize that too. You have never seen them have. Some of you may even question, what is this here for? What are those vertical columns? Well, that's basically just like you see the steps here. When you look at this blueprint, the whole purpose of it is actually to, from every view, you see the same thing, like an octahedron. Some of you might not know what an octahedron is, so I'm going to show you. And I'm not saying you're illiterate, any type of stupid or anything by not knowing. I'm just saying that some people can't remember, don't study that every day, and might not know based on just saying octahedron. You could get it mixed up with something else. So from an octahedron's view, if you got on top of it, you would see the same view as the side. You would see a square from a pyramid from every corner, pretty much. A pyramid's top view. And that's exactly what you see with my work. The only way that you could have with these steps right here that you see going vertical, have the steps going this way as well, and creating it's very hard to, without drawing this out, explain this, but The only way that you can have the steps going sideways and going, or have I'll word it like this: the only way that you can have a perfectly quadrified in a quadrant mirroring image is by making these stairs vertical, so that when you flip it this way, you can see with the water that'll be down there. If you turn it horizontally, you can see that there will be the same image as you see right there with the middle. And if you turn it this way, you can pretty much see everything that I'm saying and explaining right there. So what I'm even realizing is there has to be a, wow, that would be amazing. There would have to be a halfway cut down here with these. It would have to cut through the center diagonally in order for it to really look like that officially. So therefore, at that point, what I'm actually going to do with this pyramid is something that's very special. Only way that you could really do that is if you took some type of crystal, such as quartz crystal, clear, and here at these parts down here, you made that diagonal. Because what I'm getting at is when you look at this right here, you see how it's cut diagonally through the steps on the edges. You got the steps, and then you got this corner right here, that corner. And it's cut diagonally from right here at the bottom all the way up here to that corner. Same thing with the next one. There's the corner right there. It's kind of funny being able to show exactly what you're saying. Then this gets built. Quite amazing. And that's why I'm making the videos that I'm making like I am, man. It's straight up. So the facts, and that's where you would enter the pyramid up here. The fractal, what you see right here, the design at the top of the pyramid, it would look like what you see up there. So when you zoom in to up there, that's what you would see that design to be. That's 4 and 5 right there. And when you get up here with the scales and metrics of everything, there's going to be a way that you can stairs in the inside of these giant megalithic built stones where you can walk around and reach the top. And it'll spiral around so that when you get to one area, you start to walk downward after you've reached the top, so that everybody, and it's really, let me just stop there because it's hard for people to understand with words what you're saying. I have to draw things out at this point when you're talking about an architectural blueprint. And what I was just saying with those diagonals right there, there you are. I have it drawn two-dimensionally right here. This is where I was measuring out everything. So these, that's why you see this zooming into this. Or at least I thought I drew that. I didn't, but I was supposed to take like a, like a spotlight. You know how a spotlight shines off into the sky? This is supposed to be like a spotlight, and it's supposed to zoom like go into a small point. And that point is supposed to go right here. That's where the spotlight would be shining from, because it's communicating to you what's right here. And so when you look at this big block, one of these big, when you look at a big block like this right here from the side that has these steps going through it, every step has to have a certain amount of steps in order for this to add up to be, and the steps have to be a certain metrics, a certain number of steps, because this is supposed to be around 450 feet tall, the pyramid itself. So at that point, the steps have to be divided into a specified walkable height in themselves. So so the number of steps in the set measure is 10 steps per big block. Okay. And the reason why it was 10 is because of the discovery that I made. But if you did 10 steps with 450 feet being the height, and you got 5 blocks, that this 5 levels evenly, that this adds with, when you have 5 levels evenly, you do 450 divided by those 5 levels, because you have the level 0, then the level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. So those blocks, you can pretty much guess the or not guess, but calculate precisely the size, the dimensions of these blocks. And at that point, every block, with it being 450 feet, you would have to have 90 feet tall blocks. So one thing I know for sure is that these blocks will be 90 feet tall. But if you put 10 steps, what I was going through this work and doing, if you put 10 steps per 90-foot block, that means that at that point, the excuse me, they would be around 9 feet. Understand that. Every block at that point would be around 9 feet. I'm not block, every step. You're talking about a step that's 9 feet tall. To make for sure that you reach 450 feet per block that's 90 feet tall. So at that point, I had to cut them in half. And that's pretty much where my work ended with this blueprint. I had to cut them in half, cut them in half, cut them in half to get to a certain amount of steps. Because the Great Pyramid does not have and Teotihuacan has half the amount of steps that mine would end up having, because it's half the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza, perfectly. And so at the end of the day, when it comes down to how many steps this is, you're talking about 450 steps. You're talking about a lot of steps. A pyramid that really needs an elevator at that point. It takes some dedication to climb something like that. So you're talking about some flights of stairs to reach the top. And at the end of the day, what would be cool is if I had a slide. So if it had slides on the side so that people could slide down that mug if they don't have to, want to walk down it, because that's a lot of walking. But anyway, the thing is, I'm showing the Angkor Wat blueprint because it ties into my blueprint. That's why I showed that. It's very important to know that what they showed in that blueprint goes into the underground aspect of Angkor Wat. And I'm doing the top work, showing you the top work right now, but the whole purpose of this pyramid is to clean water. And that's what you see that circle as in the background. That whole entire circle. And the facts are, I have to do all of the underground work first. With any blueprint that you make, if there is a basement to it, you have to work out the basement first. That's what you have to dig out first. You can't build the building first and then start to build the basement under it. That won't work out good. And so the best thing to do is create and know what the bottom is going to be like. So I can only show y'all the top. But if I show the bottom, that's where I'm showing too much. Because the bottom ties into not just, and then as well, I have to worry about people, other architects and stuff like that, trying to not copy my design, but then therefore trying to do something like me, period, in another way. So all over the earth, you see this symbol. You will not see it anywhere else discovered, written out in number, explained. That's very important. I guess TikTok ain't gonna work for me. So I'm gonna just end that one there. I didn't want this to be long like the last one. I'm standing up and everything too. And I'm gonna go get the drawing in here. If I have any problems, I will be able to ask my grandmother. Was anything, because once I started streaming, like right now, I was just in the bathtub, nothing was bothering me. I'm streaming now and nothing is bothering me. And of course, I still feel it responding to me, but it's not touching me to drive me crazy and make me unhappy and angry and distract me. So when I go out here and I start to draw, if I have any problems, I'm gonna let it go on for a little while, and then I'm gonna come back actually and record again and get it on camera and ask my grandma, was I not just going through hell? And then we'll see if I continue to go through hell once I'm recording, because it doesn't do this whenever I'm recording and talking, showing y'all my work for whatever reason. It hasn't happened out of the how many streams? You'll probably say I stream a lot, right? Okay, well, out of the many streams that I've had, I can only remember one where I vaguely mentioned that this thing was bothering me. So he streams a lot, but that also shows that this thing is not bothering him when he's streaming. And so when I get off here, I shouldn't start to be bothered by the spirit. All right.